guys, how are we all diddly doing? How's everybody holding up? I keep doing build challenges, and in these build challenges, I somehow always end up building a 1970s themed house. I always just kind of gravitate towards that type of thing. I don't know why, because I wouldn't even say that's my design style. Maybe it's me unlocking a part of my personality. I don't know. Maybe I am a 1970s, and I'm just not a 1970s main. Do you know what I mean? Maybe she's like a backup to the backup plan, if you will. So I thought, you know what? Since I tend to gravitate towards these styles so much, but the only way that I'm really building them is with these really convoluted build challenges where I'm kind of restricted always. I thought, I really want to try and just build a decade-accurate 1970s house. So that is what we're going to be doing today. And I put my entire sim Ussie into this build. She took me, I would say, about 2.5 hours. She's available on the gallery. And let's go! I'm going to try a different setup today because I obviously I've just pulled a wedgie out. I'm so sorry. That's the best thing about having to stand up, sitting down desk. I could just pull my wedgies out. So I do actually have a standing up, sitting down desk. So I thought I would, incorporate the standing up, sitting down desk. I'm a little bit too short for it. Like, I'm not going to lie, my legs are like this on the ground. But yeah, for the outside, I really wanted to, listen, I have a history degree. I don't know if anybody knows that. I have an undergraduate in history and I've got a master's distinction level in digital media and communication. So not smart in any other way, shape or form though. Like street smart, not my thing. Book smart, yes. Street smart, absolutely not. Socially smart, absolutely not. But book smart, I can write an essay. Do you know what I mean? I found out the essay formula, and then since I found out the essay formula, writing an essay is a piece of piss, babe. You just got to stick to the formula, and then it's like Tetris, really. Already with the plan. Anyway, this is not relevant, but basically, I love essays, right? Really good at them because I love essays and I love history. I actually had a lot of time researching the 1970s build. Granted, I think I went too academic with this. Like, I did go on Pinterest and I saved some photos, and I went on Google search, saved some photos, but I was like, I want to know why. Like, why were 1970s houses the way that they are? What about the architecture made them be this way? Like, why are you the way that you are, babe? So I read some interesting things, and apparently postmodernism was a rejection to modernism. I really struggle with these kind of like neoclassicalism, modernism, postmodernism. These subjects, they do not compute in my mind. Like, I can regurgitate information about them. I don't quite fully understand them. But basically, one thing that I found really interesting was obviously we had the Industrial Revolution and everything. And before the Industrial Revolution, people lived in, I would say, like multi-generational families in the countryside. And then when industrialization happened, people kind of strayed away from these distant type of living and moved into town centres, basically. And obviously these were like cesspools because the working class were not well housed. These houses were usually built by the people who owned the factories for the workers. But yeah, we basically had this mass movement into the city centres. So people lived in really close quarters and built up and built up and built up, for example. And then we also have the post-war period and like post-war rebuilding effort, which influenced architecture too. And then the middle class that moved out in towards the suburbs more. But basically places was starting to get a bit sprawling again. And also with America, this kind of paved the way for their heavy reliance on cars because everything was so far away. Whereas in big cities, everything's kind of close together. You can kind of have easy access to things. God bless America, but not for the reason you might think. God bless America because they are not a pedestrian society. And as someone who's European, the idea of living in somewhere that's not a pedestrian society, like I did see a couple of times people say on TikTok that pedestrians are second-class citizens in America, and I really do believe that because you just can't walk anywhere. Like, the actual infrastructure is not there, and also that's really difficult for people just tend to walk in. But what about people with disabilities or people who need wheelchairs and everything? That's just kind of excluding them from the entire town. Like, it's actually like the urban planning in America is really fucked up. The urban planning in America is kind of dystopian, and the 1970s played a role in that. Yes, they did. But for the architecture for this build, I was really struggling because the things that I associate with 1970s architecture, especially after researching it a little bit more, is split level planning, lots of woods, lots of stones, and kind of funky colors, contrasting colors, kind of a rejection to uniformity, like kind of a bit more free. We also have a lot of political things going on at this time. There was lots of wars, but also as a reaction to like such an intense political time, there was also the hippie movement. But that also influenced a lot of the style of the time. Very interesting time period. Would not like to live in that time period. But yeah, I just find it really interesting how like the political and social and economic landscape can like really impact how houses are built. I did struggle with the outside of this house though, because it's something that's so far out of my comfort zone. The inside of 70s houses, I do feel quite comfortable with. The outside of them, specifically trying to navigate that in The Sims 4, was really difficult. I knew that I wanted to do this roof trick where you pull one of the eaves out and it kind of creates this overarching roof. I cannot wait for The Sims 4 Horse Ranch ceiling update to come out. These unpainted ceilings like actually make me want to cry, but I had such a great time doing it, even though it was really stressful and there was lots of roofing issues in this. I did kind of just want to edit out all of the roofing issues that I had, but I also thought like the best way to get better at something is to know how to fail at it in order to know how to do it. So I thought I would leave that in case you just wanted to see like kind of my thought process going through it. It was still a bit of a fucker, and I ended up changing the roof halfway through because it's kind of split level and the roof goes through a lot of places, so I had to readjust the roof later on, but I did get there in the end. And one thing that happens to me in every single build that I do is there's a tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. Jesse and the build. The back of my house always looks so much better than the front of my house. I always get to the back of the house, build it, and I'm like, you should have been the front. You should have been the front. And I do believe it with this build because we've got like the decking on the back, but then we've also got it's like a second decking, and I've never done this before where the decking kind of goes into the roof, but I've really liked what I've done with it. I thought it looked really cool, but the front of the house had like the perfect place for a front door and everything, and I thought the front of the house would look kind of weird as a back of a house, so I kept it the way it was. But yeah, overall the outside of it, stressful, but I really feel like I pushed myself and I learned a lot. And also I do really feel comfortable building your typical suburban home, so it was really nice to actually push myself really far out of my comfort zone. And also because it's a speed build, it was really nice to have the time to dedicate to it, where sometimes in videos, if I'm recording them live, I'm like, this is going to be boring, so I'm just going to skip through this bit. But I like you being able to see actually all of it in this thing. I decided to go with a stone on the outside for the bottom floor on the left-hand side. And I found this really difficult because the house that I referenced when I was building this, it is split level. So you've got the bottom floor and then the top floor, and this bottom bit's stone. But then on this side, you got a floor in the middle. And I tried to do that by having like two split levels and then connecting them together. It didn't really work. Conflicting block clusters, as they call it in The Sims 4. So that was difficult to navigate, but we did get there in the end. But I thought I wanted to kind of give the illusion it's split level. It actually is split level on the inside, but you couldn't really tell that from the outside. So I thought if I make this stone and like highlight bits with stone, that you can kind of get that illusion. So that is exactly what I did, my darlings. And then for the inside, honestly, the inside part was an absolute fucker. Like if I ever had to build the inside of this again, I would simply perish. He was a bastard. Not so much that it was difficult. It was difficult, obviously, but like that wasn't the main reason why I would refuse to build something like this again. Even though I probably would. I definitely would, actually. But you know what? To the point. Mainly just the platforms. And like whenever I changed the fence, all of the platforms would disappear. Like she was a bitch. She was really tedious. Just the constant repetition of if I changed my mind, then I had to put things again. One thing I'm trying to really do is let loose with perfectly matching color schemes. Like if two types of wood don't really match, that's okay. That's something that I'm really trying to work on. I am a perfectionist with OCD symptoms. I have a mental health team, and when they were doing like an ADHD assessment for me, a lot of the stuff that I said, they were like, this kind of lines up with OCD. It could still be ADHD, but it all could just be autism with traits of ADHD and OCD. But I thought, you know what? If knowing this will be able to like help me kind of overcome some of the difficulties that I have, I'm going to try it. So I'm trying to do exposure therapy, and it might sound so silly being like, oh my god, you're doing exposure therapy by making sure that your woods don't 100% match on the Sims 4. But for me, I'm like, this is such an overarching metaphor for like everything else in my life. Do you know what I mean? Even with YouTube, honestly, like even this build that I'm uploading right now is exposure therapy for me, because I am such a perfectionist that I don't know. It's difficult for me to upload a video if I like, this is part of my mind that's like, nobody's going to want to see that. You should do something that you've already done because you know that people want to see that. And then I stop myself, but I'm really trying to exposure myself in terms of not really giving a fuck. And it's something that I've been saying for like the last 2 years. I just want to upload things that I enjoy. And that has been my mentality, but like actually putting that into practice has been exceptionally difficult because I have a handle on my mental health at the minute. I am okay, but I'm not pushing myself. Like I still am very much ruled by my anxiety and like compulsive, intrusive thoughts and like over checking, and it leads things to get really dark up here. So at the minute I feel like I've got a bandage over it, but I think I'm gonna really push myself this year. This is something that I really want to do. Go back to like this got really deep really fast, but basically, yes. So making sure that woods don't match in The Sims 4 is, yes, it's 100% helping me. It's really good for my progress as a perfectionist. You know what? I always thought it was a type B personality. I am literally a poster child for type A personality. Like, I am 100% type A on paper. Done is better than perfect. And this build has helped me do it. So do you know what? I had to put like heart to heart. Obviously, this is a type of build that will give me anxiety, but it's also something that I really want to do. Like, I have a history degree. I love history. I love it, love it, love it, love it. I really enjoyed the whole researching process for this, like reading essays and everything. It was so much fun for me. I had so much fun. It was the best time. Wild animals or wild rides. So this is the type of stuff that I want to do. And if you don't vibe with it, that's okay. But I'm going to take the chance because I think some people will vibe with it. And you never know. And I can't control every single thing in life. Ow! I tried a few therapists so far. None of them have really meshed together. I just think like it's a specific case with autism. You know what I mean? Like, you can't teach me how to manage my anxiety, babe. I've already probably a special interest at this point. Like, I know how to handle my anxiety, but nobody is tapping at the root cause, which is perfectionism. Everything in my life all boils down to control. Every single thing. And if I feel like I lose control, that is so. Yeah, I really want to work on control. And that's why making sure that all of the wood swatches don't match. I also do intellectualize every single thing that I think, and I don't actually know how to feel feelings, which I've just done right now. I am aware of. I love Fortnite. That has absolutely nothing to do with the build, but also one bit that I really did enjoy about this, in my last video where I kind of built a 1970s build, a lot of people were like, I can't believe you didn't build a conversation pit. And I was like, oh, that would have been the best fucking thing for that build. Like, that would have fit so well, especially in that space. And I thought about doing one here. And again, it just didn't 100% fit, but I did do the sectional sofa. So I did do that. And also the kitchen ended up being a fucking vibe. Like, got a vibe. Me and the kitchen going for a ride. I really enjoyed it. She's kind of small, but just kind of cute at the same time. The stairs as well were a bit of a fucker. It's still not how I would have liked it, but I did enjoy like the wooden things I included on the side because I thought that is the type of thing that you would see in a 1970s house. And I know because I've seen them on Rightmove. I spend all of my time on Rightmove. Love houses, love life, love wild animals, wild rides, love The Sims. And I've always said that. Honestly, the dining room was a bit of a fucker as well. I ended up making her a little bit bigger. I think I moved the fireplace. I had to include a stone fireplace in this. Like, I just had to. That is the law with 70s builds. They fucking love stone. Natural stone. Love it. And then the upstairs as well. The bedrooms were, right, and I know that a lot of people are going to have a problem with the carpets that I put in this build. But listen, guys, like, obviously, if we're going to renovate a 70s house now and, like, take it back, we're not going to put carpets in every room. But I've read that having carpets in rooms was a sign of wealth at this time. And I thought, well, do you know what? This family obviously has money. They're going to want to have carpets in every single room. So yeah, I even put it in the bathroom because that's what people did, okay? I know that people are going to hate that choice, but I wanted to create a realistic, decade-accurate 1970s build. So if you were cringing at the carpets, just know I was cringing at the carpets too, babe. We're living in this together. We are on the same team. I also put carpets in the bedrooms as well. I just wasn't feeling that like wood flooring throughout it. I can imagine that wood flooring was originally put in and then the carpet trend came and they were just like, yeah, cover it all. And you know what? Thank God they did, because then the wood's still preserved. You know what I mean? For the bedrooms, I did put a child's bedroom in because I was Googling 70s bedrooms, grown-up bedrooms for grown-ups. Why am I saying it like that? I'm literally a grown-up. It's just hard to reckon with sometimes that I'm actually like a grown-up. Like, if I had a child now, people would be like, congratulations, instead of what you're going to do because you are not at the age to mother a child. You know what I mean? Which is bizarre to me, guys. Absolutely bizarre to me. I'm also talking about the adult bedroom. I really enjoyed it. A lot of the stuff that I saw with adult bedrooms was like sticking to this colour theme of the 70s. So I did try to include that. But I also made like a custom bed surround because that's something that I saw a lot. I did have a bit of a trouble with the end table. So I was like, where are they going to put the stuff? Do you know what I mean? And I decided, you know what? They can fucking suffer. And that's that. Do you know what I mean? Like, is end tables really the be all and end all of this bedroom? No. And I also included a closet wardrobe thing from Get Together where it's like built into the thing. So I thought she is kind of 70s looking. She's got a 70s face, that wardrobe, if I ever did see one. Your Honour. And that is the truth. That is the truth. Around this time as well, I also found that we have a cordless, a cord phone in as well, so I put that in. Didn't find that one that realistic though, because where she plugged into, do you know what I mean? I would have liked a wall phone, specifically for my purposes, which is the 70s build, but for the general aesthetics, I get why they didn't include a wall phone. I get it, okay, but I would have used it in that moment. But then when I was looking at kids' bedrooms from the 70s, obviously they have a 70s style. Like, they don't look like a modern bedroom, obviously. But they didn't really remind me of the rest of the pictures that I was looking at. Like, the rest of the pictures were plastics was a huge thing in the 70s. And, like, these bold colours, reds and oranges and patterned walls and stuff. And patterned walls, yes, maybe. But the bedrooms kind of just looked like classic bedrooms, you know, so I decided to go that route with it. You've got the 70s carpet and the 70s wallpaper and stuff, but they looked a little bit less out there than the grown-up rooms I was seeing. But 70s is also a little bit of a weird time for teenagers. Like, the 50s and 60s, you had the emergence of teenagers, where teenagehood actually became a thing, and like teenagers started to have their own expendable income. And then the 80s is like the 80s. The 80s was the time. You have malls and everything like that. The 70s were teenagers. I mean, I wasn't a teenager in the 70s, so I don't really know. I don't know. There's not really like a defining thing. 90s teenagers, you had Pokemon and acid houses. Like, 70s teenagers, I mean, I suppose you have the hippie movement and drugs and peace and love and everything like that. But yeah. So I just thought that was interesting because, like, I can think of very defining characteristics for teenagers from the previous and like further decades, but not so much for the 70s. Although that's not to say the 70s didn't have them. That could be my very limited knowledge because I haven't actually really delved into the 70s that much. So if you were a teenager in the 70s, please do let me know what your experience was like and what were your defining characteristics of it, because my parents were born in 1964 and 1969, so they were kind of children throughout the 70s. So that's interesting. So I don't really know much about that. And then for the outside kind of tricked me, honestly. I'm not the most confident with landscape, and I've said this before. I kind of don't know how to landscape really, but it's also something that I don't really care about that much. Like, I care about making sure a bedroom looks better more, or making sure the outside of a build like looks put together, you know. But with landscape, I'm just like, oh. But then I see people on TikTok landscape and they do it so well that I'm like, maybe I do want to learn how to landscape. So maybe I need to like just sit and watch TikToks and like get ideas and stuff like that. But yeah, the landscaping, it does pull an entire house together, which is why I always do it. Like, it does like amp up that curb appeal. I still find it exceptionally difficult, especially out the back. Out the back, I kind of just put, because I wanted to lean on like natural things, you know, because that's what the 70s is a lot for me. Obviously, you have plastics. Huge era of contrast to the 70s. Like, you've got really natural tones combined with fucking massive amounts of plastic. So yeah, but I included a pool and some 70s colorway floaters and everything. And then, yeah, like the back just, I don't know. I kind of felt a little bit stuck with it. I think especially because of the people that I chose to have in this house. Like, in my mind, it was the parents and the teenagers, you know what I mean? Whereas if I had parents, teenager and a toddler, I might be able to do more with it. So I was kind of stumped in that way. I also nearly, this is not to do with the landscaping, but I nearly put a laptop in the teenager's bedroom and I was like, oh, that's the build pretty much. I had such a fun time doing this build. I had a great time. Wild animals, wild vibes. That's everything I have for you today. I love you all so much. You have no idea. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, bitch.